This is the book of John, chapter 8, verse 32. It reads, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." Shalom, shalom. This is a brother Kahan from the GMS Prophetic Vibration Camp here in Trinidad with another lesson through the power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai. First and foremost, Kal Halayam La Alahaya Nawa Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai Ba'asham Rakakodash Barakatah Yahweh Barakatah Yahweh Shai Barakatah Yahweh Barakatah Yahweh Shai Barakatah Yahweh Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Alright? Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace, blessing, salutation unto the brothers who preaching and teaching this truth through the four corners of the earth. Truth and sincerity, risking their lives and the freedom to do so. Shalom unto the speckled bird Israelites who looks like the other nations, but are Israel through their forefatherly lineage. And shalom unto the very few but faithful Akawat, which is the sisters. Alright? The name of this lesson is "The First Slave Ship Did Not Came from Africa." Alright, the first slave ship did not came from Africa, as we was taught, as we was made to believe. Alright, you see, what you all have to understand is that the school system, alright, aka the fool system, it was always to keep us away from the truth and to be very well excelled in lies, in a doctrine and dogma of lies. Alright? And now that the truth is out, okay? Now that the truth is out, it is making us free spiritually, mentally, and physically. Alright? Although we are still in this captive state, we are still in bondage. Yeah? But hey, this truth is giving us a sure sense of hope. Alright? This truth here is giving us that sense of remembrance, giving us that sense of sovereignty. Alright? And I give all praises to Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai for that. Because the ones who in this truth here, we could have still been in the world, still been caught up in all philosophies and what have you. But hey, we're here. We're here. Alright? So I'm going through some history here. Okay, from a book. I don't have the book PDF, I have it hard copy. I'll be linking this book with a book that I have in PDF form, which is Babylon to Timbuktu. But I will be reading a bit from a book called Nature Knows No Color Line. It is a very serious book, a book with a lot of truth in it, a book with a lot of history in it. Alright? So the name of the book is Nature Knows No Color Line by the author J.A. Rogers. So I will be going into the book without further ado. Alright, I will be going to page 65 first. Just bear with me a bit. Alright, and I will show you where the first slave ship came from. Right? Because the first slave ship, it did not came from Africa. The first slave ship, it came actually from Portugal, Spain. Alright? This is the book of Nature Knows No Color Line. I'll just be playing with this from time to time. Alright. Nature Knows No Color Line. Page 65. All right, the name of this paragraph. This paragraph goes into Negro ancestry in the in the so-called white race, and it more consists of Spain and Portugal, because Spain and Portugal was one before it was separated. All right. So here we go. As regards to Christian Spain, all right, with these Edomites, starting with the Borgia family, where they came out to spreading their wicked dogma of Christianity with the image of Cesare Borgia and what have you. All right. As regards Christian Spain and Portugal, Negroes were imported in droves from 1440 until the abolition of slavery in Portugal in 1773. So you see, for well over 400 years, they had a very well thriving slave industry taking place in Portugal, Spain. All right? Already before the discovery of America, all right, says Fernando Ortiz, several thousands of Negro slaves had been expatriated from Senegal, Guinea, and the Congo and were working in Lisbon and Algarves. Lisbon is the capital of Portugal, all right, and Algarves in Seville, right? Seville is where in Spain, and in all uh, Andalusia. All right, now I don't know where Andalusia. I'll have to research that where that is. All right, the Catholics, the Catholic sovereigns were dealers in Negro slaves, because the Roman Catholic Church, they had a very heavy hand in our slavery. Okay, the Roman Catholic Church was very hand in hand, all right, with these slave traders. All right. The Catholic sovereigns were dealers in Negro slaves. It was Christopher Columbus who went plundering in Negro slaves in Guinea before stealing Indian slaves in Cuba. Now these are what you know as the natives, all right, the Amerindian tribes, all right. All right. That's why when you go to Genesis, not Genesis, Salakia, Deuteronomy, when you go back to the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and 49, it reads, The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. Right, now this is the prophecy within the curses concerning the northern kingdom of Israel, which is those native tribes. All right, from throughout the Caribbean, all the way from South America, Argentina, going all the way up to North America, Canada. All right, who were the Mayans, the Aztecas, the Incas, the Taínos. All right, the Native American Indians and what have you. All right, the Seminole Indians, you know. All right, so this is where it's going into. All right, but let's continue. Before the discovery of America, the Negroes already were cutting sugarcane in Andalusia and in Seville. There was a municipal council of native Negroes with fraternal orders, kings, and overseers. The Negroes came first to the West Indies from Spain, not Africa. All right? From Spain, not Africa. All right? But in school, coming up in school, when you go into history class and wherever, whatever little of our history, what they will teach us in about slavery, they will teach us that the first slave ship, it came from the west coast of Africa. That is a lie. And I will give you further proof. All right? All right, it came from Spain, not Africa. And as Euclides, de Acuna said of Brazil, the mulatto was not made in America. He came to us already made from the mother country. Now, if you know anything about colonialism, all right, a lot in these house Negroes and a lot in these Israelites who suck up to the massa, they will call their colonization country their motherland. All right, especially those of the northern tribes. Yeah, they would call Spain or Portugal their motherland. All right, that's just to show you how brainwashed our people. It just goes to show you how brainwashed our people is. All right, even in Trinidad here, they will consider England, as the motherland and pay much homage unto the wicked queen of England. All right, but anyhow, the African, or to be more exact, the Israelite Negro slave trade was more abundant during the 15th and 16th centuries for the peninsula than for America. All right, which goes into that peninsula they're speaking about is Portugal, Spain. All right, in one city like Evora, Portugal, the Negroes undeniably exceeded the so-called whites or the Edomites. Several thousands of Wolof, Mandingo, Guinea, and Congo slaves entered Lisbon and Seville each year and were sold for the cities and fields of the south of Iberia, which is in Spain. And without the bestial prejudice which afterwards were current in American society of agrarian slaveholding economy, the Negroes and mulattoes were frequently emancipated and both rose to prominence by virtue of knowledge, art, valor, and love, etc., etc. Yeah. All right, so the next page I'll be going to is page 55. All right, page 55. Okay. All right. This is the from the same chapter. All right, page 55. This is racial intermixture in Spain and Portugal. I'll start from the top. It reads, while Edomite Vandals were pouring into Africa in the 4th and 5th centuries, all right, Israelites continued to arrive in southern Europe chiefly as slaves. But in 711 AD, they came in as conquerors crossing into Spain. And way before that, we came in as conquerors crossing into Spain. All right, way before that. Because what you have to understand is, when you go to Revelation, the book of Revelation, chapter 20, and I will start at verse 1. All right. I had to get the proper date. I had to get it back from the captain, but anyhow. But when you go to Revelation chapter 20, at verse 1, it reads, and I saw an angel came down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand. All right, and that wasn't a literal chain, but a spiritual chain. All right, and that angel, it was speaking of us so-called Negroes. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil. All right, that dragon, it is the Roman Empire, the pagan Roman Empire, which was called the red dragon. All right, that old serpent, which is the devil. All right, which is the devil. The devil goes into what? Deceiver. All right, Diablos, deceiver, slanderer. All right, which is who? Esau, Edom. All right, and Satan. Right, who is the physical counterpart of the spiritual being Satan, the so-called white man, okay? And bound him 1,000 years. Alright? And bound him 1,000 years and cast him into a bottomless pit and shut him up. Now the bottomless pit, it is Europe. Okay? And shut him up. Right? Which is where, to be exactly, that is speaking about the Caucasus Mountains. Alright? Because what they would not teach you in the universities and the high school and what have you is that the so-called white man, right, was in the Caucasus Mountains dwelling for approximately 1,000 years because we had brought them down. When I say we, are so-called Negroes, who was the Holy Roman Empire, which also known as the Byzantine Empire, because the Roman Empire was split into two. You had the pagan Roman Empire, which was those so-called white people, these Edomites, and then you had the Holy Roman Empire, which was us so-called Negroes. All right? And we conquered them according to prophecy, okay? And shut them up in the Caucasus Mountains. All right? And had them as slaves, as what they ought to be. All right? Because this is what the nations were made for us for, to be servants unto us. Verse 3. And cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set his seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, so that he wouldn't go about spreading his lies. All right, no more until the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, which it was fulfilled starting from in the 1200s. All right, 1100s, 1200s, and it was firmly established. All right, in the 1400s, which is the Renaissance period era, when these Edomites come back into power, because the word Renaissance, it means rebirth. Okay? And after that, he must be loose a little season. That's when they started came back out of the Caucasus Mountains. Okay? And then you had like the Borgia family, the Borgia crime family. Alright, where you get your white Jesus, who was actually Cesare Borgia. Alright? Which a lot of our people, they bow to and worship to, all right, from the Roman Catholic Church. All right, but that is another piece of history that I will go in another time. All right, so when we continue, okay, so let me go back to the book now. I'll start over. While white Vandals were pouring into Africa in the 4th and 5th centuries, all right, Israelites continued to arrive in southern Europe, chiefly as slaves, but in 711 AD, but as I read it was way before that, all going up to the 300s, because I think it was 1 something or 2 something AD is when the pagan Roman Empire had fell, and we came into rulership. So this time period is a bit off, but still we could work with it. All right. But in 711 AD, they came in as conquerors, crossing into Spain. All right? Crossing into Spain, they captured Gibraltar and defeated the Goths, which was the Goths and them. They were Edomites, a part of that 10 horns of the ancient Roman Empire. All right? A part of that 10th province, or however you want to call it. All right, of the ancient Roman Empire. All right, they were white Germanic invaders of 3 centuries earlier. Their commander Tariq, a Negro, gave his name to Gibraltar, formerly Cape. So now, watch this. Let's go to, I think I would have to go to the blue letter for that one. All right. Come on, man. Right. Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 13 and verse 1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger. All right, that was called Niger, and Lucius of Cyrene and Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch and Saul. All right, now let's go into that word Niger. All right. Oh, shucks, wrong thing.
G 2564. Kaleo. Kaleo.
Sorry about that.
Strong's G 3526. Niger. Niger.
All right, nigger, nigger. So let's go into that. All right, black. All right, the word nigger, it means black. All right, or dark, because when you go to when you go to Jeremiah, yeah, Jeremiah. That's right. When you go to Jeremiah 14 and 2, it reads, Judah mourneth and the gates thereof language. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is going up. So when you go to here now, we're going to research that word black in the Hebrew. All right? Which means what? Hebrew, to mourn, to be dark, to darken, to cause to mourn, to grow dark. All right? Kadah is Kadah. All right?
Strong's H 6937. Kader. Kader.
All right? To be dark. All right? Songs of Solomon. When you go into Songs of Solomon, I am black but comely. All right? So as you could see here, when as I read here for you, as I read here for you all right? The commander that was part of the invasion. That was part of the invasion. He was a Negro. His name was Tariq. All right, and he was a Negro. All right, which was an Israelite, because the Israelites they were called what? Negro. All right, the southern kingdom. They were called Negroes. Salakia, because when you go through history and you look up on the auction signs during the days of slavery, when they were auctioning off us to these other Edomites, you would always see Negro slave for sale. You would never see the sign written on the sign Africans for sale, because we are a totally different people from the Africans. But I'm not going into that. What I'm going into is to proving that the first slave ship did not came from Africa, as we was made to believe. All right? Tariq, a Negro, gave his name to Gibraltar, formerly Calpe. These Israelites were Moors. All right? These Israelites were Moors, sometimes called Arabs, because of their language to the earlier Greeks. The Moors were a black or dark people, which is Moros. All right? Let me go into that word. Yeah. Let me go into that word Moros. Mauros. Let me see something. Yeah. Right? A dark colored, relatively strong that's now. Let's go to here. I have it wrong here. Alright. That's no. Come on, man. Let me see something here. They have this. All these is going into new speech definition because the word moros or more it means dark. All right. It's just a Spanish name, a Spanish way of saying dark. All right. But anyhow, let's continue. Don't want to waste too much time. All right. It reads, all right, moros, and to the Romans, moros. All right. A Negro. Let me see if I can get some from this one here. Let me try something here. Right. Moros is a boy's name meaning dark skin or Moorish. It is a variant of the Latin name Maurice. All right, because they break it down in the book, in the same book here, but I don't want to go through all of that. All right, so you're getting the idea there, right? All right, and all right, of black woolly haired people known synonymously as Ethiops or nigger, as it really right in the book here, the word nigger, all right, Negro or Afa, which goes into African even as late as the 5th century. But I ain't want to go into that. So now, let's go to page. Let's go to page. Let me see. I had it written down here. Page 123. I'm going a bit too far. All right, page. All right. Okay. This is page 123. Still in the book. All right, of Nature Knows No Color Line. It reads, so dark were the Jews. So dark were the Jews. All right, which we had already read for you in Jeremiah 14 and 2, and also to prove the word the Jews were called niggers. All right, the Israelites were called niggers. I proved that in the book of Acts chapter 13 and 1. All right, so dark were the Jews, especially of Portugal and southern Spain, that many whites thought all Jews were black or dark. All right, this just goes to prove even more, all right, that hey, you all are not Africans, as you was made to believe. That false narrative that was shoved down your throat. All right, because the school system, as I say, it was all about lies to fool you. Okay? This belief and Barber shows what an error most people are in, since he says the German Jews, as for example those of Prague, are as white as most of their German countrymen. All right, that is with some of them was a Palatine Moors, is where these Israelites, all right, would be going with the so-called white women, these Edomite women, and having sex with them, and some of the children a lot of the children would not come out as the likeness of their fathers. They will take more onto the mother's side. But again, you is who your father is, because it's all about the seed line. All right? You cannot take a mango tree and carry it to China and expect to get grapes. All right? You is who your father is. No matter how the child may look. No matter how the child may look. Even if the child do not carry the Negroid features, as long as that child's father was an Israelite, and it may be looking like a so-called Chinese, even a so-called white man, an East Indian, an Arab, that child is an Israelite because of the father, because of the seed. All right? Israel is counted for the seed. All right? So, it reads, all right, and for an example, all right, many of the Jews who, all right, yeah, so I'm going to continue, and they were white as a German country. Many of the Jews who were banished from Portugal by King John II, which I'm going to link back up in the book of Babylon, in the book of Babylon to Timbuktu, all right, settled in the West Indies. Many of these Jews who were banished from Portugal, all right, because when you go back to what I was reading in page, I think it was 65, in page 65, when you go back to page 65, what did it say? This is accurate history I'm giving you here. Right, I almost reached it. Page 65, what did it say? All right. The Negroes came first to the West Indies from Spain, not from Africa. All right. How did they came from Spain? Through slavery, being banished by King John or King João II of Portugal. All right. They came to settle, right, in the West Indies. John Bigelow, who visited Jamaica in 1850, saw the descendants of these Jews and say they were Negroid. Right? Your own enemy. All right? Your own enemy, the so-called white man, he is acknowledging the fact that these are the true Jews, the true children of Israel. All right? Who are the descendants of these Negroes that came here as slaves, okay? Who came here as slaves onto the over on this Western Hemisphere. All right. So now, let me link it going now to the book of Babylon to Timbuktu. Babylon to Timbuktu. I will read page 115 and then go into some more scriptures and close it off. All right. It reads, the expulsion of the Jews from Spain and Portugal, which I had already read for you just now there in Nature Knows No Color line, page 123, where these Jews were being expelled. All right. These so-called, these Negro Jews, so-called, were being expelled because the reason why they were being expelled, number one, is because it's for them to stop follow their heritage. Number two, it was time for these Edomites to come back into rulership pursuant to prophecy in Revelation 20 and 3. All right? So this is just prophecy here. All right? Because the Bible is the most accurate history book. History coincides with prophecy. Prophecy coincides with history. All right? The expulsion of the Jews from Spain and Portugal, it was in AD 1492, January the 2nd, when the Moorish stronghold of Granada, which is in Spain, southern Spain, surrendered to the armies of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella for the first time since the year 711. All right, all of Spain was in Christian hands. All right, okay. So you see what I know what I was saying concerning in page 65. Let me just get back quick. In page 65, not page 65, page 55. Yeah, page 55, where he read that in 711 they came in as conquerors. No, right? Page 55. All right, where you read where I was reading, while white Vandals was pouring into Africa in the 4th and 5th centuries, Israelites continued to arrive in Spain, continued to arrive in southern Europe chiefly as slaves, but in 711 AD they came in as conquerors, crossing into Spain. No, they came in into Spain way before 711. Because look, you're reading here, for the first time since the year 711, no, it's I making a mistake. It's I making a mistake here. I make any mistake here. Is I make any mistake? Let me take my time. I'm so excited. Slack here about that. Alright, let me read it over. It was AD 1492, January 2nd, when the Moorish stronghold of Granada surrendered to the armies of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. Alright? Because as I said before, this was the last set of stronghold that we had within Europe. All right, this is when the East Edomites fully come back to take control. All right, and they started to take control over the whole world. All right, the whole world. Okay, through conquering. All right, through conquest. All right, or you would want to say colonization. All right. When the Moorish stronghold of Granada surrendered to the armies of King Ferdinand and Isabella for the first time since the year 711, yeah, I was going off. All of Spain was in Christian hands. All right, but to be more exact again, we were in Spain way before 711. All right, even during the time of Paul. Right, but we didn't have control of Spain at that time. But hey, we started to make what that's showing here, we started to make an even greater stamp of stronghold, a greater stance of prominence in Spain by the year 711. That is what they should say. All right? Because we was there before 711 and taken hold of Spain. All right? But the year 711 is where we really start to make a stance. All right. The decree to expel the Jews from Spain was signed on March 31st in one of the corridors of the great Alhambra, the palace of the Moorish kings of Granada, which is southern Spain. The reason given for the expulsion of the Jews was that it was thought they corrupted the Moranos, all right, Moranos or Moors, Jews who converted to Christianity, who converted to these Edomites Roman Catholic religion of worshiping Mother Mary and praying to Caesarea Borgia and whatnot. And that Mother Mary is really that goes into Tammuz and Nimrod's wife. I forget her mother. I forget his wife named Salakia. All right, that is what that really is about. All right. By privately encouraging them in disloyalty to Christianity. All right, because a lot of us, they forced us to convert to this Roman Catholic religion, because the Roman Catholic religion was the first, all right, and all these other religions, they sprang out of the Roman Catholic religion. All right? The ultimatum given to the Jews expired on August the 1st, 1492. Songs that ring a bell to you? But the last group of Jews did not leave until August 2nd, 1492. This date is of strange coincidence. That day was the 9th of Ab, the fast day, which is reminiscent of the destruction of the first and second temples. Professor Alan H. Goodby says that the reign of the last Jew king of Ghana terminated in 1492. In order to satisfy Queen Isabella of Spain, King Manuel of Portugal promulgated a royal decree expelling the Jews and Moors from his country in 1496 because these Moors who were Israelites that converted to Islam, all right, they are of the same nation, all right, Israelites, all right, it's just Israelites that converted to Islam during the Mohammedan conquest, all right, when Muhammad started conquered the Middle East and parts of North Africa, coming down to certain parts of West Africa, but mainly North and East Africa, all right, and bringing them under the clutches of Islam, all right. The Jews who were expelled from Spain and Portugal were scattered throughout the Mediterranean coast. It is estimated that over 100,000 Jews departed from Spain and Portugal during the persecution and expulsion. Now, this time, what you're reading about here is what you would know, what they call the Spanish Inquisition. The word Inquisition goes into the word inquiry, where these Edomites was inquiring of us who is practicing their wicked Christianity or who is still practicing the heritage of their forefathers, right, of the children of Israel, which was the laws, statutes, and commandment given unto us by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, all right, unto Moses on downwards, all right. So that was the whole inquiry was all about, all right. Some of the Jews went to northern Europe, which was Italy and Turkey, all right. But most of them went to Muslim countries of northern, as I said, northern and western Africa. These black Jews would naturally go to African countries, most of them all, because of less persecution, and they could disguise themselves easily among the so-called blacks. All right? It's the same thing we did, because why? They follow the same thing that the previous ancestors had done back in 70 AD when we fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution to mingle ourselves amongst these Hamites, the true Africans, because we look just like them. It is very hard to distinguish an Israelite to a Hamite. All right? Given a graphic, RHM Elwes or Ewells or whatever gives a graphic description of the Portuguese Jews. Baruch Spinoza, middle size, good features, skin somewhat black or dark, right, black curly hair, long eyebrows, of the same color, so that one might know by his looks that he was a descendant from the Portuguese Jews, all right, or Jews who was residing in Portugal, Spain. When the Jews were expelled from Spain, about 100,000 entered Portugal. They were permitted to enter under the condition that they pay the poll tax, with the understanding that they would leave the country within 8 months. Also, this time the king obligated himself to take the Jews wherever they decide. So let me go down now. This here, during the reign of King Jau or King John, 700 black Hebrew children were ruthlessly taken away from their parents in Portugal and transported to the island of Santo Tome of the west coast of Africa. This island is located near Nigeria, Cameroon, and Gabon. Alan H. Goodby says the Portuguese founded the island of Santo in 1471. In the year 1484, King John of Portugal, who reigned from 1481 to 1495, offered the Jews of his kingdom the choice of baptism, which is converting to the wicked Roman Catholicism, or settling at Santo. Multitudes of Jews were sent to this island during the reign of King John. These Jews, or Judeos as Portuguese call them, are serious, reserved, and wealthy, holding most. All right, that's it there. So you see, all right. But the thing is, the question is, all right, the first slave ship did not came from Africa; it came from Portugal, Spain. So where did it landed? Where did it landed? Watch this here. Just now. Take off that. All right. Watch this here, right? All right. Watch this. It is impossible to pinpoint when the first African slaves arrived in Brazil. All right. They're saying that is a lie. They know when the first slave ships landed in Brazil. All right. Because the first slave ship is there, it landed in Brazil. All right. But estimates range anywhere in the 1530s. Regardless, all right, what we know, it wasn't Africans, it was Israelites. Regardless, Israelite slavery was established at least by 1549, when the first governor of Brazil, Tomé de Souza, arrived with slaves sent from the king himself. All right, sent from the king himself. All right, when I go here, let me see. I don't want to read the whole thing. That's the Portuguese. Yeah. Let me see. No. Slavery in Brazil began long before the first Portuguese settlement was established in 1516. All right, with members of one tribe enslaving and captured members of another, which is truth. That is truth. All right, these northern kingdom, they were always in war and conquering each other and enslaving one another. That is truth. Later colonists were heavily dependent on indigenous labor during the initial phases of settlement to maintain the subsistence economy. The natives were often captured or by expeditions called bandeiras, flags from the flag of Portugal. They carried it in a symbolic claiming of new lands for the country. Yeah, conquest. All right. The importation of Israelite slaves began midway through the 16th century, but the enslavement of indigenous people continued well into the 17th and 18th century. During the slave trade era, Brazil imported more enslaved Israelites than any other country, all right, because their slavery was the longest and they had more slaves than any other, all right. It is a proven fact. An estimated 4.9 million enslaved people from Africa, which were Israelites, were imported to Brazil during the period from 1501 to 1866 until the early 1850s. Most enslaved Israelite people who arrived on Brazilian shores were forced to embark at West Central African ports, especially at Luanda, which is presently Angola. All right. So I'll just read a little bit more and then go to some more scriptures and call that George. Slave labor was a driving force behind the growth of the sugar economy in Brazil, and sugar was primary export of the colony from 1600 to 1650. Gold and diamond deposits were discovered in Brazil in 1690, which sparked an increase in the importation of enslaved Israelite people to power this newly profitable mining. Transportation systems were developed for the mining infrastructure, and population boom from immigrants seeking to take part in gold and diamond mining, right? Which is these Portuguese coming over to cash in, all right? To cash in on the newfound wealth, which was the gold and the diamonds, all right? So let's go to some scriptures, a little bit more scriptures, and we'll call that an end there, all right? So let's go to Isaiah 28 and 11. There's a reason why I'm going to Isaiah 28 and 11 to show you how prophetic these scriptures are. Isaiah chapter 28 and verse 11. It reads, "For with stammering lips and another tongue he will speak to this people." Why stammering lips? Why another tongue? Right? Yahweh Hashem Yahushai would use to speak to another, to speak to this people, to speak to the Israelites. This is the prophecy here of King James, all right, given the authorization to translate the scriptures from its original tongue of the Hebrew, all right, from the original tongues of the Hebrew, all right, into the English language and these other languages, all right, because what you have to understand is that King James knew that the slaves that was being taken from Portugal, Spain, over onto this hemisphere of the world, all right, the Western Hemisphere, he knew that they would end up having to be speaking the language of their colonizers, their conquerors, all right? So he gave that order so that the scriptures could be translated, all right? He did not, as a lot of our people who does not have the knowledge, all right, the wisdom, the understanding, they would say that he write the Bible. No, he never write the Bible. All he just did was authorize the translation of the scriptures, all right? That's all he did, all right? So now that he authorized it, because, hey, when you go to Joel 3 and 7, right, it says, when you read from verse 1 all the way down to 7, it talks about, the transatlantic slave trade, all right? So when you read verse 7, I'll read from verse 6. I'll read verse 6. Just bear with me. All right. Read verse 6. All right. Joel 3 and 6. "The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians," which is the so-called white man. All right. You will get Amos 1 and 9 to coincide with this scripture here, Joel 3 and 6. All right. That he might remove them far from their border. All right. Because we was removed far from our border, which is Israel. We are quite over here on the Western Hemisphere. "Behold, I will raise them out of the places whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense unto your own head." And this is what is taking place. We are being risen out of the places where you have sold us, all right? And coming out onto the highways and byways and preaching this truth. That's why when you go to Baruch 2 and 29, it reads, "If you will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations where I will scatter them." All right? "For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. And 2/3 in our people, they are very rebellious and stiff-necked. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves." All right? And this is what is taking place now. We are remembering ourselves. We are coming back to our heritage, the hopeful elect. All right? Not all Israel will come back. Not all Israel will come back. All right? Because, hey, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is going to put 2/3 of Israel to death. All right? But it's only that remnant, that elected remnant, that he wants, and that he's going to redeem out of this wicked place. All right? So this is the prophecy of us raising back up, right? This is this going into Ezekiel 37, the valley of the dry bones, right? Israel coming back to that righteous state of remembrance. All right? That's why when I go to Job 8 and 8, all right? It reads, For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to search for thy fathers. Yeah? And this is what we ought to be doing. Inquiring. Right? Inquiring of who we truly are. Why it is. This just goes to shows, you are supposed to be asking yourself how it is with our history. It could only go as far back as slavery. Alright, so what about our history before slavery? Right? What about our history before slavery? What about before the 1400s, the 1500s, the 1600s? How were we living? What was our status? What was our criteria? But a lot of our people, they don't do this. They don't inquire. They don't seek the prophets. They don't seek the knowledge of the prophets to get this understanding, this wisdom, this knowledge. They would just go with what they have been taught, and that is that, and they feel, well, that is what it is. That they are Africans because they've been taken from Africa and what have you. One that is far away from the truth. Right? The truth is right here in the scriptures, right before your eyes. But again, it's only a remnant will see this truth for what it is. Alright? Only a remnant. Okay? I'll go into Hosea and just finished off with this. This is the book of Hosea, chapter 1, and I will start at verse 9. It reads, alright, it reads, I'm going to see verse 11 also, yes. Alright, it reads, Then said Yahweh, call his name Lo-Ami. When I go into Lo-Ami, it means that this goes into your, oh gosh, I'm going to be correct with it as possible. It goes into your, Yahweh turning his back against us, as prophesied in the book of Jeremiah, where Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushua will turn his back against the children of Israel, until they come back to repentance, which is now. Alright? You could go and look it up in the Hebrew. I'm just giving you a roughly paraphrase for time's sake, alright? Then said Yahweh, call his name Lo-Ami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God. Alright? Because of the sins of our forefathers until now. Alright? The idol worship and what have you. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it is said unto them, which is now, which is in America, and all where we have been scattered, even our own people. Alright? What our own people tells us, ye are not my people. Alright? A lot of our people, they say, what Israelite thing you talking about? Is an African. What Israel you talking about? You could go to Israel and all these nonsense they tell us. Alright? But hey, what the scripture say? That in the place it was where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power. Yeah? Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up. And who is that one head? Which is Yahweh Shai, going on down to King David. Alright? And they shall come up out of the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. When you go to, that's just the last scripture before I go to the last one, Jeremiah 23. I got to scroll through. Can't remember the exact verse. Uh, that's no, that's hold it, man. Wait, is boy. I'm gonna try 20 something. Where it reads, let me see if I can get it in my hard copy quick as possible. Boy, oh boy. Can't know it's Jeremiah 23. Let me see verse 6. Alright, yeah, Jeremiah 23 and 7. Alright, they do have it all caps in the scripture here. That is why they couldn't find it. Alright, I will read verse 6 and 7. Alright, Jeremiah 23 verse 6. In his days, Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. And this is the name whereby he shall be called, the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, our righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Alright? But the Lord liveth, which brought up which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, which is America, and from all the countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. Yeah? And they shall dwell in their own land. And to all our captors, which is the last scripture, after that prophecy which I had just read in Jeremiah 23, verses 6 to 7, this is what is going to happen to you. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. That ear, it don't mean a literal 2 ears. It means understanding. If you have understanding, well, understand this. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Who led us into captivity? Had us as slaves for well over 500 years. Not only you so-called white people, but you Arabs too, especially. Alright? He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And this is what we are patiently waiting for. So with that, I hope you was edified through the power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Kal Halayam La Alahayanawa Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Kodash. Alright, double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone at Woolwell. Peace, blessings, salutations unto the brothers who preach and teach in the truth through the four corners of the earth, on the highways and the byways, risking their lives and the freedom to do so no more than ever. Shalom unto the speckled Israelites, and shalom unto the very few but faithful Akwats. This is your brother Kahan signing out, saying shalom.